Hello, everyone. My name is Ellen Rogin, and welcome to today's edition of Horse's Mouth Live. And as always, I bring you great guests that can provide you amazing information to not only help you in your life, but also your business. And we will not disappoint today. I was so excited when we were able to get Dr. Maribeth Kuzmeski to be here with us to talk about what's working in business now for advisors. And in this changing environment, I don't know anybody better to have that conversation with us. So before I officially welcome you, Mary Beth, I want to make sure everybody knows your official background. I'm sure many of you have seen Mary Beth at conferences. Hopefully you've read one of her 7 books that she's written. Dr. Maribeth Kuzmeski and her firm Red Zone Marketing consult with financial professionals, strategic marketing, and help in business growth. She's a sought-after female speaker, rated a top 25 C-suite speaker by Meeting and Conventions magazine. As I mentioned, she's written over 7 books, including The Connectors, and teaches integrated marketing course at Ohio State University. She's been all over the media as a media contributor and expert on marketing, and NBC, Fox, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, and Forbes. Mary Beth lives in the Chicago area. Both of us have children. I liked on her bio where she said children threatening to be adults. I have 2 of those as well. And Mary Beth, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Well, thank you very much. And I just have to say to my friends in Oklahoma, it's Oklahoma State University, not Ohio State
Oh my
University.
God.
That's
Okay,
fine. I just
sorry
didn't
about
want
that.
anyone to.
Oklahoma State University. Great. So, Mary Beth, I was so excited to have you on the show today because, as I mentioned in the intro, I don't really know anybody else in the industry that has their finger on the pulse of what's working now like you do. I know you speak with thousands of advisors and you've done surveys. And so I want to get right into that. We are in, as everybody knows, a constantly changing world, it's so much more highlighted now, but the truth is we are always in a changing world. So I'd like to start with, what do you see right now that is some of the biggest problems or struggles that advisors are facing?
Well, there's no doubt it's the whole idea of social distancing. So advisors, you meet your prospects, you meet the people that you're going to do business with face to face. Well, that hasn't been happening. And so it's been a big struggle to do virtual prospecting, virtual client communication that's really effective, and still being able to get the referrals and the new business that they're accustomed to. And it has been obviously a real struggle. Face to face is the way that financial advisors have always marketed themselves, and now everything's changing.
I haven't heard the term virtual prospecting before. That's really intriguing. So talk a little bit more about that. Like, what does that look like? How is that working for people?
Yeah, so we've been doing not only surveys of our own clients who are financial advisors. What are you doing? What's working? We know about that, but we've also been doing surveys of financial advisors across the United States, in all of the states, to try to figure out what are you doing that's working and what's not working. And we know that Zoom is the most popular form for being able to reach out to clients, and it's easy for the clients to be able to use that as a communication tool. But how do you reach prospects today? And so we've been asking, and we've been finding out that it's been basically 2 separate things, 2 separate ways. One is virtual events, and the other is virtual prospecting. So virtual events are things like, it could be a client appreciation kind of an event, non-financial education. So virtual wine tasting, virtual bingo. I just played virtual bingo last week, and as it turns out, I'm really bad at bingo. I guess I don't have any bingo skills, but it's a really fun event for retired clients who are sitting at home. They invite their friends to come on and do things like virtual bingo, virtual travel around the world, virtual wine tasting, those kinds of things. But for the virtual prospecting part of it, we've had advisors do actual dinner seminars without being in a restaurant, doing it online, doing it virtually with Zoom or even doing it in the form of a webinar, and finding actually almost better results than they get if they're having people come into a restaurant. Because in a restaurant, you're getting people who just want to eat, the old adage, the plate lickers or whatever people call them. But when you're actually getting on a webinar or a call and you're interested in that topic, whether it's volatile markets or social security or extending retirement or retiring early or whatever the topic is, people are attending who are more committed to the topic. And then if they take a quiz or something at the end and just say, hey, I was on this call and I'd really like to have an appointment or whatever it is, but they don't have to have an appointment, but they do get a gift card or a DoorDash or something like that afterwards, so they can still get a dinner seminar, but they're just not doing it at the same time. And we've actually seen advisors gain more business. And there's companies that are actually working to help advisors do this right now, like White Glove and other companies like that, that are helping the advisors get prospects into the virtual room. But one of the things we found out when doing this survey is that advisors are okay with virtual prospecting, but they haven't ever had to do it before for the most part. So you're communicating with a prospect for the first time on a Zoom call, something like we're talking today. It's totally different. How do you present yourself? We've even had advisors have like a side webcam that they put down, so if they're taking notes, the prospect can see them taking notes, because a lot of advisors are very visual and they're, this is what would happen, and they're taking notes, so it's not taking away the experience. So at any rate, we're seeing some things that are actually really positive, and people are home more, so it's easier to reach them.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. You mentioned several different topics. Are there some that you found have been more popular than others for people?
Well, the idea of volatile markets and protection, for those that are getting ready to retire, whatever, along that scope, that is really what's very popular right now, especially with those that are either getting ready to retire, having to retire early, or already retired, because they're nervous because the market goes up and then the market goes down, and it doesn't seem like it correlates with everything that would make sense, and it's very, very confusing and scary. And so obviously people need advisors. I think they need advisors today more than they've ever needed advisors, and
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity. And I'm going to switch topics right now, but the other thing we're seeing that's really working is second opinion campaigns,
Mm.
because some advisors are totally exposed right now. They're not communicating with their clients, and there's a lot of things to communicate with clients about. We've seen advisors take other advisors' clients in this market right now, by using second opinion campaigns. Hey, let me just give you a second opinion. Putting it up on social media, putting it up on their website, emailing their friends. Hey, if any of your friends need a second opinion, and it's been working. I don't think there's ever been a time when a second opinion has worked better, because in those cases, and everybody knows somebody, well, my advisor never calls me. Well, this is a time where you can really provide better service for that particular client, than their current advisor. So second opinion campaigns are really working well also.
That makes so much sense, because even if someone's happy with their advisor, it would be if you were seriously ill, like you'd feel like, well, I should at least get a second opinion. I'm being irresponsible if I don't. So
Yes.
that's brilliant. So, how are you
Yeah.
seeing advisors that are doing it well staying in touch with their existing clients to make sure they can build those relationships?
It's honestly a variety of things. So I always say to advisors, because advisors will ask, well, how often should I be communicating with my clients? And I say, well, whenever there's a reason to do so. And, there's a lot of reasons to communicate with clients these days. The market's down, the market's up. There's things happening in different states. There's things happening with products. There's a lot of reason to be reaching out to clients. And so one of the things that we advise is to have a message. What is your message? And the message today might be different than the message just yesterday, because everything is changing so quickly. But you might have a blog that then you send out via email to your clients and prospects. You might call them. You might schedule Zoom meetings or a WebEx meeting or something like that. You might have a phone script for your staff that's going to call and say, hey, today I know the market's kind of shaky, but here's what we think. And, so that everybody's on the same page. So it's blogging, it's emailing, it's even videos. We've had two different ways of doing videos. One is you just, you record yourself going, hey, here's what's happening in the market. Here's what we think. Here's what we're seeing. But the other thing is we've done it where there's been several advisors in an office and they get on a Zoom together, record the Zoom call, and they answer frequently asked questions from clients. So, hey, what are clients asking right now? Well, here's one of the things that they're asking, and here's how we respond to it. And so it's recorded so it can go through compliance, and then it's sent out to all the clients. And so now you've got a different way of communicating. So now I can see my advisors together talking. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I think more is better right now. And in the survey that we did in May, we're doing another survey right now of financial advisors. 81% said that they will be communicating more, or they are communicating more in 2020 than they did in 2019. And the reason is there's a lot of reasons to contact clients. And if you're not one of those that's finding a way to reach out and contact and communicate and throw an event or do whatever, you're just exposing yourself to that second opinion from some other advisor down the street.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. For some of the people or advisors that you work with, Maribeth, are you finding that they have some hesitancy to be on the camera and communicating with people this way?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone who the first time you get on a camera of something like this, you're like, what's in my background? What do I look like that? I mean, this happens to all of us, right? And I think it happens to advisors too. And they really have to take some time to say, what's in my background? What am I wearing? What do I look like so that I'm presenting my best self? And also lighting is really important. But you don't know it the first time you do it. And the first time you do it, you've got your computer like you can see the ceiling and there's all sorts of stuff going on, and you're like, yeah, you gotta really get comfortable doing it by practicing a few times. And in fact, we've been doing quite a few practicing sessions with advisors because it just helps to get more comfortable, because no one's comfortable the first time. Remember the first time you stood in front of a regular video camera on TV or something like that, it's not comfortable for anybody. And it's the same thing now with what we're doing with Zoom and all of that kind of stuff. So it takes a little bit of practice, but once you get used to it, it's actually, I mean, I've heard from people that they appreciate having conversations like this more than phone conversations. And I think that's just, we can see people, we can see what they're, looking at. And one of the things that I love about doing things like this or Zoom calls or whatever is I know that the person I'm talking to is not checking their emails. They're not
Mhm.
getting up and doing something. I mean, we're face to face. It's like if we're sitting together. And so it really gives much more focus to the conversation as well, which I really like it. I like it for financial advisors. I like it for everybody, frankly. I should try communicating with my kids more like this, I guess. So I know you heard me. I know you heard me.
Do you think that once social distancing ends, if we can kind of possibly imagine that future, that advisors will continue to communicate this way with clients?
Yeah, I think that especially when we're looking at different studies that are done that clients, the investors are responding to, they're not interested if they're in their 60s and 70s. They're not that interested in a lot of face-to-face communication. And so I think it's going to be good for them. I think it's very convenient. I'm working out now via Zoom, and I could actually, my gym opened back up. I'm like, no, I actually like doing it via Zoom. I can do it when I want. I can do it with my friends, and I can make my own schedule. But it's interesting with communicating with clients. I think it's not going to change. And what we've been telling advisors is you've got to have sort of this dual marketing plan, a face-to-face marketing plan and a virtual marketing plan. And so if there's a resurgence of the virus and things close down again, what are you going to do? You can't lose any more time. So what are you going to do? And so if you have two things going at all times, you're probably not going to be caught surprised, because I don't think there's anything, frankly, that would surprise us anymore about what's happening in this world. But what we do have to consider is just how are we staying relevant as a business and serving our clients and finding new clients that really need our help. And so it's got to be that we got to have this dual model, I think, moving forward.
What about networking, virtual networking? So not necessarily for direct prospects, but maybe centers of influence. Are you seeing any creative ways that advisors are doing that right now?
Yeah, I've been seeing CPA, CE, whatever that's called, been done online and virtually, and doing it like in a Zoom kind of a situation. But LinkedIn has been. I mean, I don't know about LinkedIn's numbers, but I would think that they have to have a lot more people on LinkedIn Sales Navigator and figuring out ways to do virtual prospecting, not just virtual marketing, but virtual prospecting. Like, how am I going to reach people who are getting ready to retire from a particular company if I have no other way of finding them or talking to them? But we have plenty of ways inside of LinkedIn. And so LinkedIn Sales Navigator is amazing. And it's one of the paid versions of LinkedIn, but it's really amazing. And you can set a prospect list, sort of like people that you want to get in touch with. It's a great way of communicating. And then you have to post content and do some other things, but it's really been very successful. We've got advisors that are getting 8 to 10 Zoom or phone appointments a month after about 3 months of really doing some serious LinkedIn Sales Navigator prospecting. So it works. And it started off with younger advisors doing it, but now, frankly, advisors of all ages can do LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Well, and I think this has been a great opportunity for us all to realize that we don't just also have to do business with people that live within a few miles of where our offices are, where that it can maybe not global because of securities reasons and licensing, but certainly more of a national practice. And as your clients move, it's way easier to stay in touch with them and them not feel like they have to get a new advisor. So are you seeing with the Sales Navigator on LinkedIn that people are expanding their reach, or are they still looking within the geographic location of where their office is?
It depends. It kind of goes both ways. I mean, I have a couple of mid-size offices that have been doing national prospecting for quite a bit of time, doing video, Zoom type of meetings and things like that. But what we're seeing now that it's just easier to do that. And, if you look at a book of business from a financial advisor, it ends up being spread out anyways because a client moves to Florida or they go someplace else. And, so all of a sudden you're starting to get referrals in Florida, but you're not there. And so I think it's kind of just a natural thing, but I mean, there's no barriers anymore. So you don't really have to just focus on people that are in Chicago, Illinois. You can focus on people that are all over if you can serve them and you can get connected to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, yeah, so much easier and so much less expensive. I just had this flashback of my mother saying, "Oh, I can't talk now. I'm on the phone long distance." Like it used to be such a big deal to do
It
that. Now we can
was.
actually see people. I was on a WhatsApp call with someone in Croatia today and corresponding with someone in Ghana as well. I mean, it's really so beautiful that it's that easy to stay in touch with people with all the different tools we have.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because this is really part of, it's not directly about marketing, but it's so indirectly about marketing, is how advisors are working either effectively or not effectively with their teams now that they're not all in the same location.
Yeah, I think that from what I've seen personally firsthand, it has been very effective. And they're actually doing internal Zoom meetings to communicate with one another. Uh, and I think if you've got a good staff, your staff is still going to be good if they're working out of the house. And as long as you've got a good VPN or some kind of way of protecting, the work that you're doing on the computer, really, I mean, I think that in some cases, some people are not going to come back to the office, that they will continue working virtually. And I think that's not just with financial advisors. I think it's across the board that, hey, we can actually do this. And if we don't have to have that super expensive top floor with all the windows, office space, maybe we don't need to do that. Because if we're going to communicate with our prospects and our clients virtually, then we don't necessarily have to communicate in that other way. And I just recently had a doctor's appointment, just a regular checkup, and my doctor, we did it via Zoom or whatever it was, and she's in her office actually with her office jacket on, and I'm at home. But I thought, how convenient this is. I don't have to drive to Highland Park to go and see her. I could be sitting in my house. We do a 15-minute. It seemed like it was a lot quicker than if I was face to face. I think there's quite a few efficiencies that financial advisors and their teams will see, that we don't all have to be in the office, and it actually might be better for everybody.
Yeah, interesting. So, in the little bit of time that we have left, Mary Beth, are there some tactical suggestions you have that for an advisor that is either looking for more ways they can prospect or an action step they can take that you would say these are some things that you should put at the top of your list if you're not already doing them?
Yeah, I mean, I think today, posting on social media, and that's always such a mystery for so many people. Like, well, what do I post? And it's got to be compliance approved. And how do I do that? But there's a lot of sources for posting really good content and staying in touch with valuable material, whether it's snackable communications, like just little snippets, or whether it's something longer, an article, a blog. But using that tool to get the exposure that you're not going to get by going to some local, chamber of commerce meeting or something. So I think you really, you got to think about how you can communicate in different ways. So that's one of them is content marketing, and really, thinking about posting. And I can give some sources if you want me to give some sources about where you can look for good content. There's
Sure.
firms that write good content. We write good content, but there's firms that provide it, and so that's really valuable. But the other thing is, I think, is just staying in touch with your clients in a way that's so meaningful that you can actually get more referrals right now.
Mm.
And we've seen it happen. I believe that it will happen into the future. But the more you can give comfort and confidence to your clients, the more they will have the opportunity to talk with someone else about what it is that you're doing. And so I just think staying in touch with clients is super meaningful, and staying in touch with strategic alliances too. They're probably at home as well, and scheduling a Zoom call with them. There's probably not as many people that are asking them out to lunch, this local CPA or whatever. So this might be a good time of communicating with them more than you've done before. But I just think staying active with marketing and finding ways to reach out. And the third thing that I'll say is just video. Video is so searchable. It's really great to put up on your website. You can talk about something that's happened, recently, so it looks like you're on top of all of this. And if you post it also in YouTube, if you can do that, YouTube is owned by Google. It has such a great, I mean, the search is phenomenal. And so if you want to be found, that's one of the really great ways of being able to do that. So I would say those are some ideas and tactics that advisors should be doing right now.
That's great. Thank you. And yeah, those are all great ideas. And I know I've mentioned this before for any of you who've been listening to the shows before, the podcast, but when I had my practice in the 2 recessions I went through, especially the first one, I grew my business 40% in a down market because I was doing what you said. And it was also, in addition to doing those things, it was my energy behind it was, as you said earlier, people need you more than ever now. So for advisors out there, you're doing an incredible service, and to focus on how you are easing people's suffering with money, because sometimes suffering with money has nothing to do with how much money people have. It's about their comfort level. And so that's great. And I want people to reach out to you. As when I was an advisor, I worked with Maribeth. She helped me put video on my website talking about my firm. She's so great, a wealth of information. She sends out a beautiful email. Is it weekly, Maribeth, that you send it out?
It is weekly. Sometimes it's more, but and sometimes we have additional content that we'll send out. But yeah, it's typically weekly if we've got something good
She's
to
so
say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you're a very good, besides you have your own thought leadership, you're also good at curating other information out there. So please go to redzonemarketing.com, get on Maribeth's email list, get her book, The Connectors, and all her other books. I'm assuming on Amazon, Maribeth, is that right?
Yep, everything's on Amazon. Yep.
Great. So, and thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You're amazing, and I love seeing you out there in the world. And she's a really, really good person, besides being so talented at marketing and brilliant. And thank you all for being here. Randall, thank you for your lovely comment that you had, and all of you listening live and who are listening, going to be listening or watching this after the fact. We're so grateful to have you here on Horse's Mouth Live. And if you want to find out more information about me, you can go to ellenrogin.com. That's ELLENROGIN.com. And if you go to ellenrogin.com/horse's mouth, I have some resources there for you that are free. There's a special report on what clients crave and some other things that I think will help you grow your business. And really grateful for you all being here. The question to ponder today is, how big of a positive impact are you willing to make?